I need this shovel because today I'm preparing to dig my own grave.
Well, at least you're self-aware.
Your love is rated X. That means you're extraordinary.
Alright, before we get started, I do want to be clear that this isn't about whether or not you're entitled to critique a channel that is substantially larger than yours or has a greater reach than yours. It's about the merit of the information that's passed in the video, just as you say in yours, Alex. So I want to address some of those points. To my admittedly small but plucky viewership, welcome back. It's Kevin. This is Pure Bullfit. Got my coffee. Gonna put my hair up so you know I mean business. Let's get to it.
Now before I jump into things, I just want to say that up until just a few days ago, I really didn't know much about the dude.
Well, by the content of this video, you still don't. Or you're being intentionally misleading by cherry-picking specific videos that can establish an erroneous pattern that you can extrapolate and apply to his entire body of work. But who's to say?
And forming a formal opinion in one way or another doesn't benefit me at all. I'm essentially an impartial observer with a bias towards and an expertise in overall general strength and power training. And I think that gives me a pretty clear lens from which to view the advice that he doles out that's relevant to my area of knowledge. And if you're new here, before you comment, why don't you take a look at some of my other videos so that you can get a feel for my credentials?
That's a fair point. Okay, let's take a quick look at the credentials. Not exactly compelling. Here, let me put the definition up for you of credentials because you seem to be confused. Your LinkedIn bio just says athlete/coach.
So he's clearly a fan of combining exercises, right? Which has always been one of my biggest pet peeves. You can't ride two horses with one ass, and by trying to combine two exercises into one, you simply miss out on the true benefits of both. But in one of his videos, he has another pro wrestler on his channel.
So here's my first big issue with your critique. This is not representative of Jeff's knowledge on strength and power. This is a small clip of him working with an athlete who requires the use of multiple kinetic chains to work in coordination and demonstrating an exercise that is conducive to those ends. That's kind of like you saying a mechanic doesn't know anything about trucks because when you walked in on him, he was working on a sedan.
This little snippet alone, his PT bias is really dominating.
PT bias? You make him sound like a flat earther, for fuck's sake. What the fuck is PT bias? Look, let's step away from Jeff for a second. Let's talk about Ed Cohn, Brian Shaw, Hafthor Bjornsson, world's strongest man, or even a youngin' like Larry Wheels. All undoubtedly people who fit your seemingly narrow view of what strength expertise is. These are all top-tier strength athletes, right? Okay. Well, each of them has said at some point on multiple mediums that one of the best ways to ensure that you reach your maximum potential is to stay as injury-free as possible. And they'd know. So if your stance is that working on the foundations around a joint, stabilizing and synergistic muscles is somehow detracting away from reaching your maximum potential or strength training, I begin to question whether or not you understand the principles at all.
But I don't do it in such a way as to allow it to detract from my true strength work. And moving on, another gimmicky thing I noticed is something he has Antonio Brown, the NFL player, do, and that's these stupid catch and throw burpees, where he has him throw an exercise ball against a wall, drop down into a burpee, and then pop up and catch the ball as it's bouncing back to him. And again, this is just a gimmick. It's flash over substance. This doesn't do anything for Antonio.
Okay. Actually, that's so sport-specific to Antonio Brown, it might as well be called a drill. I don't know about you, but I did play football in high school, as wideout even. And the ability to recover from the prone position after losing your footing, track an incoming object, and receive it is directly related to his position and his skill set. All that you managed to do here was highlight your inability to associate exercise with activity.
But in all the videos of his that I watched, I couldn't seem to find anything touching on this or even resembling this theory. I couldn't find anything in the way of loaded jumping or explosive hip hinging like a kettlebell swing, a heavy kettlebell swing, or even just something like a resisted sprint. And he has a slide right there in his facility. He touched
then you didn't look. There are over 1,000 videos on his channel over the last 8 years, and hundreds of them deal directly with the topic of explosiveness or progressive overload, hip hinges. Literally everything that you said was lacking is present. Yes, there are many videos that talk about form and technique and utilize a lighter weight, but there are also many videos that speak directly to the point of progressive overload, to the point where he's instructing you to sacrifice a little form and a little technique for the sake of that overload. It's like you didn't look, or you're not being honest about what you found. I wonder why you do that.
And then in another video, he talked about recommending 20 rep squat sets to beginners who are still learning how to squat. And I honestly forget which video it was specifically, but I just can't fathom where that advice even came from.
Let me help you out there. For beginners, establishing a motor pattern is the most important thing. You allude to that point. The best way to establish a motor pattern is through repetition, not through intensity. More reps, higher rep sets allow for more repetition than low rep sets. We have entirely too many people who are focused on immediately the weight on the bar before they've mastered the movement. We've got quarter reppers in all the gyms in all the states and all the land. Do you want quarter reppers? Because that's how you get them.
And lastly, he never even talks about progressive overload. I searched and I searched and I searched, and I think I found one video where he used the term like one time without really going into any detail about it at all.
Yes, he did, and no, you didn't. That information is so prevalent on his channel that you would literally have to go out of your way not to find it.
All in the name of further increasing your outreach, and simply by virtue of being a motherfucking giant at this point, you dilute and drown out the information from other channels who do actually have that expertise.
And there's your bias. You go on for minutes about how physical therapy and strength training are different realms that cohabitate once in a while, predicating your argument that they are so different that they actually detract from one another, when you just fail to realize that they are essential elements of the same body. You're talking down to Jeff for claiming expertise outside of his wheelhouse, but what's this? According to this, your expertise is all things athletic. Not only can you not keep your critique consistent with his content, you don't even live up to your own expectations. How is anybody supposed to take you seriously? Look, man, you are free to your own opinion, and that is not why I'm calling bullshit on you. Your video talks significantly about substantive content, and yet you don't provide any. The points you do make are easily evaporated at the slightest bit of scrutiny, and the assertions you make about what's lacking with his content are demonstratively false. You either didn't look or willfully ignored the enormous amount of content that contradicts your position in favor of cherry-picking clips that seem to support it, but you had to know that people were going to go looking. I mean, you're wrong, but you don't seem stupid. Maybe you knew all of that. Maybe you didn't need me and others, and there will be others, to point out to you all of the flaws in your argument. Maybe it was never about that at all. Bad press is better than no press, I suppose. But you know, the most damning thing is not the carefully selected picks used to erroneously extrapolate a pattern across his entire body of work, which your entire argument is predicated on. No, the worst thing by far. Jason Blaha agrees with you.
Me of it because I'm actually subscribed to Alec. We're friends, we talk and everything. He's in my round table of coaches that I talk with from time to time.
It's too bad.
It's called congratulations, you played yourself.
Who are fuckboys? So what makes somebody a fuckboy?
I mean, it's just a better word for hater. Mad people, bums, losers, garbage, like a piece of shit.